So in step 5, you're either going to lay seeds or sod. One of the two. That's really your only two choices. Here, the customer's going with sod. As you can see, it's looking really nice. We're using a tall fescue. Now, a tall fescue compared to other types of grasses is really nice because a tall fescue is more drought tolerant, has a deeper root system, and it's a darker green. So if you look just to the neighbors out here, you can see their lighter green lawn compared to this darker green lawn. That's not just the amount of nitrogen, the difference is the type of grass. So this darker green lawn, and you know how you hear the grass is always greener. This is the cool thing about tall fescue. It's going to make a huge difference. One of the special things you need to know about sod, and just one of the key tips, is make sure you roll it out the same direction on every time you roll out a piece. So here we're going to be rolling out some sod, and it's all been rolled the same direction. So as you can see here, you're going to tuck in all the seams, roll it out the same direction, and then keep adding stuff but rolling the same way. That's really important. Here, when we get to some of the seams, this is a good example. If the seams are butted up against each other and one piece of sod goes underneath the other, then you have to pull up both edges and then put them at their corners together and push them in. Now, if you do that as you go through, that's kind of my job. We have our expert landscapers lay the sod, and then we come through and just check everything and make sure it's perfect. But these guys do such a good job. It's even difficult to find any seams that are messed up. There's a little bit of one. So you can see this is overlap here. If you can see that, it overlaps here. And then there's about an inch of space where there's no grass. We're gonna lift up both edges until they meet at the corner edge and then push them down together. And if you do that, it'll be almost seamless all the way through. Another important thing you're gonna need to do is stagger. So staggering is when you've rolled it out, the next course, we're gonna cut it so that way the next course isn't exactly the same as the course before it, so the seams are always staggered. And it's just like laying brick. It's gonna give you a better appearance at the end. Here's another seam. So you can see here, this part overlaps. I'm gonna pull it back a little bit until I get both edges corner to corner, and then tuck it in. Now, it might seem like overkill, but in the very end product, you won't even be able to tell that you have sod or that it was just laid. It'll look almost perfect. And that's what you're going for. Another special tip is if you have a slope in your yard, and over here there's a pretty good slope. This portion here slopes down quite a few degrees. It's not so noticeable on camera, but it really slopes quite a bit. So we're gonna roll against the slope. So we wouldn't roll with the slope, we're gonna roll against the slope. And the reason why is that major seam that you get down the middle, if water were to go into that seam and run off downhill, it would dig it out because there's really fine particles of soil underneath. Sand in the four-way would get washed out, and then you would get a trough-like effect where it would even hollow out underneath it. So other than that, those are the main points, and keeping everything wet as you go. You'll notice the guys are watering the area really well just before they roll it out, and watering the sod that's going in right away, because as it sits in the sun, it'll dry out just a little bit. Now, if you follow these key steps, you're going to end up with a lawn that nobody can even imagine as far as comparison. We're going to give you guys a quick end shot probably at the very end of the job once the guys are done laying everything, and let you see what it looks like. But we'll touch base with you in just a little bit.